Bev's Video Kingdom is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised.
Bev's Video Kingdom is brought to you by Kunu's Surf School. Hey guys, you guys want to learn to surf out there? Well, just go to kunusurfschool.com and click the button that says make an appointment. Okay, no, just move your mouse over there and just, no, don't try. You're just going to click it. Do less. No, do more. No, you got to do more than that. Okay, click the button. No, do less. So do more. Click it. No, you're doing too much. Okay, take your hand off the mouse completely. Okay, don't do anything. Well, you have to do something to just click the button. Just do it and feel it, and then you got it. All right, we'll just sign you up and we'll get you out there. Come to Kunu's Surf School and sign up. You click the button. We'll figure it out. All right, you're ready. Okay, all right. kunusurfschool.com for your Hawaiian surf lessons.
Do less. No, you're going to have to do more than that.
Now you're just laying there.
Now you're just laying there.
I can brag your favorite podcast. Let's start this thing. Woo!
Hey, Bev's Video Kingdom people, are you guys ready? I'm going to make a controversial statement at the top of this episode, and I'm going to find out if you guys think that this is controversial or not. As Nate unwraps a delicious Kit Kat, I am going to say...
That's ASMR right off the bat for you.
Kit Kat ASMR moment, folks.
There it is.
This is my favorite comedy of all time, you guys. And I say that with no hyperbole. I think this is nearly a perfect movie, my favorite movie of all time, and that is Forgetting Sarah Marshall, directed by Nick Stoller, written by Jason Segel, 2008. Comes in at an hour and 51 minutes. I will talk about the length of a lot of these Judd Apatow either directed or produced movies later on in this pod. But hour 51, I do not feel there's a point where this movie drags. I just love it so much. This movie cost $30 million and made $105 million. It stars Kristen Bell, Jason Segel, Mila Kunis, Paul Rudd, Russell Brand, Bill Hader, Jack McBrayer, and Jonah Hill. I mean, we did a movie a couple weeks ago, Crazy Stupid Love, that has a murderer's row of actors in it. And I just think that this is just such a spectacular cast. What do you guys think? Fuck. Everybody is killing it in this movie.
I agree. I mean, the fact that you bring together a lot of folks that are coming in little small roles that are killers. I mean, Paul Rudd coming in just a small role and just doing a lot with the little. You got to love a movie like that because it never really loses pace because you always have somebody good coming into the scene. Somebody, even when it's a small scene with somebody else, you got somebody who's coming in with some great comedy. So it's fun all the way around.
And to piggyback, I mean, that's just the names on the sort of masthead, right? But they're the actors that are in this that are in the second and third tier roles are incredible, right?
The bartender.
The bartender's so funny. The delivery's so good. And his buddy who's the like sort of the brunch guy.
Oh, yeah.
So good. The couple, the honeymoon couple. So
McBrayer.
fun.
Oh, he just kills
But I mean,
me
his
in this
wife
movie.
is great.
Oh, she's
right?
so
And she's
good.
sort of, so there's just a lot of layers here. Everybody's good in it. It's funny up and down the line. I hear people say, like this is a perfect movie, right? For different movies. And
It's mostly me saying that.
But I'm saying for any given movie, right, you'll see that as a statement. Like, I think this is a perfect movie. And you kind of say, well, what does that mean, really? And I guess the simplest way is that when you look at the movie for what it is or what it's supposed to be, like, what would you want to change, take away, complain about, right? In our terms, right? Well, like, what's the body bag? And I've got like maybe one that I can argue about, but but I can't disagree with that, right? For what it is, it comes at you in a different way, right? It's not your standard setup, right? You don't see movies kind of with this exact setup. It plays sort of silly equal parts with serious, in terms of the comedy. It's just, I have tons to say, but it's great up and down the line, and I can't immediately tell you you're wrong, Zach.
So Segel wrote this movie. He says it's based off of 3 individual breakups that he had. One of them with Linda Cardellini. I don't know if you guys know Linda Cardellini from Freaks and Geeks and from Dead to Me and a whole bunch of different stuff. I love her. She's absolutely great. I didn't even know they dated. She was a co-star in Freaks and Geeks. She was not the one that broke up with him while he was naked. I guess a girl actually did break up with him while he was naked. The beginning of this movie just absolutely hits the ground running. He's home at his house, and they set everything up with the cool like Hollywood clips of the movie. But I just love the little montage that starts at the beginning of him just being a silly guy at home trying to write his musical, and then after she breaks up with him, like the montage of him just being an absolute mess. It's killer. The soundtrack is killer. All the actors just absolutely kill it. Nick, what do you think?
Same thing with you. From the jump, right? Like seeing like the full frontal, like the quick dick shot. He's covering his mouth, like he gasps, and it's like he could be completely clothed or naked. It does not matter. He doesn't. He's completely lost touch of his limbs and
all 5
his
of
dick. Yeah, and it's absolutely hilarious. The first time you see that, you're like, that's fucking hilarious. But then he's sitting there on the couch. He's not putting his clothes on. You realize he's not.
Because he knows what's going to happen.
Yeah,
it's going to be over if he puts his clothes on.
He can't put his clothes on.
Right. And then he, then everything else and all the other characters from there is great.
But what you're missing is one of the funniest parts in the movie is when he comes out and he does the thing where he's got like a half hard dick and he slaps his thighs with it and does the.
I love it.
You hear it. Yeah, you hear it.
I got a surprise for you.
My God,
and I was
it's
like,
so funny.
and you know what I thought? I thought, God, when I see that, I wish I could say I'd never done that. I probably did.
It's so funny.
I like that they don't show it and that you hear it.
Yes.
Is there any guy that's never done that?
Oh, I think there's probably guys that can't do it, but if you can, you're doing it. I think.
And you're smiling like that if you are.
Oh, I got it.
No, but I love it. I've always loved it. It's hilarious from start to finish. I didn't realize it was pushing 2 hours, but at the same time, I don't know where you cut much more. I always like comedies, if they can be under 145. But you know what? This is a great one, and I've never thought of this one as a long comedy. So
because it never drags.
So I had a slightly different runtime. It turns out that I bought the unrated version of this at some point in the distant past, and I clicked that on, and I was like, wait a minute, there's some things here that I don't remember. And for the first time in the history of film, the unrated version did not get me more boobs. It got me more penis. And I'm not really complaining
4
per
more
se.
minutes of Segel's
I'm just
penis.
saying that, like, I was like, oh, they meant unrated that I get to see Segel's penis 7 more times.
in the beginning,
Oh yeah,
lucky
lots
you,
more.
bro.
Yeah, lot of Segel, lot more Segel. Yep. Well, it's what it is. I'm just saying. That was they added about 4 minutes of dick.
I almost went unrated, and I decided for a good 3 minutes.
Yeah. It's just a different path, is what it is.
I mean, there's no boobs in this movie. That's one thing that it shows.
Well, we got Mila Kunis's not her boobs.
Exactly, they're not her boobs. That's fake. That's some fake. That's some fake boobs.
I think they're not none in the early montage.
Okay, maybe
girls.
when he's hooking up with girls at the beginning.
There's
no boobies in
A lot of
this.
side boob.
I think in the unrated version,
Tasteful
there
side
might be.
boob.
I think in the unrated might have a little more. So maybe I did get a little bit of side boob with my wiener.
But this movie kind of flips that on its ear, right? I mean, a lot of these raunchy comedy movies got a lot of boobs and a lot of stuff like that. And I mean, this just goes full male, full frontal nudity right off the beginning. I don't think. I mean, unless you're just super. What's the word? What would you call someone that's uncomfortable with male nudity?
Prude.
Homophobic?
Unless you're super, I couldn't come up with it.
Prude.
Unless you're just super homophobic, it's so funny.
Or
funny.
you're gay, but you're very prudish.
Well,
It's very you're super.
I have a theory that most super homophobic people are gay, but either way, I just think that it hits every note. I absolutely love it. Brad, how many times have you seen this movie?
The funny thing is, so I think this was the second time I've seen it.
Okay.
And it's not because I didn't enjoy it. I mean, the first time I really liked it. And then I might have seen like part of it later on, like on some, when I used to have cable and like it was on. And then, so this watching, it was one of those points where I got to the middle. I was like, fuck, I don't remember exactly how this ends. Like, I kind of know some of the little beats along the way, but it really was kind of like a surprise. Like, okay, how's this exactly end? So I had fun with it though. It is a fun watch. I will say there was one time I looked at the time. I was like, okay, this is a long movie. Like, I mean, of course, Apatow is known for that, but it was just like one of those things where I was like, okay, we're a little long here. I feel like it could have been tightened up just a little bit, but there's a bunch of characters, like I said, I had fun with that I enjoy seeing on the screen, whether it's the dude that he's doing the pig cookout with, or it's the bartender, or whether it's Paul Rudd, like just all those people along the way I enjoyed. Jack McBrayer, well, I'll talk about him later, but man, those types of characters are a lot of fun.
McBrayer's just a slayer, dude. He's just an absolute killer. Okay, so directed by Nicholas Stoller, correct? Now, Brad, this dude's your dude. Nicholas Stoller is just after Brad's heart. I mean, he wrote 2, not 1, but 2 Muppet movies.
What?
I mean,
Muppets Most Wanted and the Muppet movie, yeah.
So, I mean, if he could have thrown in that Christmas Muppet movie, I mean, this guy might be your favorite director of all time. Am I correct or incorrect?
Yeah, he's done a lot of. He really enjoys doing a lot of things that are geared towards kids and stuff like this. He's done some like cartoons and different things. So he's been involved in a lot of like children's programming, I guess you could say. But the Muppets are kind of one of those all ages type thing. They kind of, I think they appeal to not just kids, but children of all ages.
Okay.
Including adults.
We'll agree to disagree on that. The other thing that I just want to really quickly touch on before we get into drinking with Nick Stoller is Mila Kunis in this movie. Is this, okay, so I don't know if it's sexist to say or if we'll get canceled for this, but I think this is peak hotness for Mila Kunis. Like,
I don't think that's sexist.
I think she's just unbelievably beautiful in this movie. She's in that tier that I kind of talked about a couple podcasts ago with Jennifer Lawrence and Emma Stone. While beautiful, just seems so cool and funny and just a good hang the entire movie. You know, she's a pretty strong female character. I think she kind of knows what she wants. She doesn't take any shit. She's just ready to freaking throw down with dude. And I love her in this movie. I really like Kristen Wiig too, but I think Mila really stands out in this one.
There's a question I have about Mila Kunis is that, of course, as you said, she seems like the girl that can hang with the dudes,
yes.
like fun, like in that way. I don't know if that's really who she is, or if she has just like the marketing people that are behind her. Like, you need to go ahead and do a Jim Beam advertising campaign, because all of a sudden she's out there like selling bourbon, and I'm like, wait, is she just like the coolest girl ever? She's like slinging bourbon and like saying that, oh, I want to drink some bourbon with you and like hang out. I'm like, damn.
Nick's wife, Denise, she's a big bourbon fan too. So she's also the coolest. We're super cool.
See, that's what I'm saying. You got it.
Very cool.
They're far and few between.
Denise.
One thing about her character in this movie is I feel like you're right, and that's the question, right? Is that who she is? I mean, it makes me question her character as a real person. The fact that she married Cooch. The Cooch. I can't get behind the Cooch. I love Butterfly.
You don't like Ashton Kutcher?
I have no problem with Ashton Kutcher.
He's cool.
I don't know if I think he's cool. I guess I liked him on that 70s show, but I didn't like her really at all. She didn't do it for me. I think she was too funny on that 70s show, which is a show that I liked. It was around when we were younger, but I'm not sure where.
Are they still together?
Oh yeah, they're married, bro.
But they're together for a while, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think they have multiple kids, and
70s show was tough because man, it was like two in my wheelhouse. Mila Kunis and Laura Prepon were both like, gosh.
No, wait, they're not together because he married Demi Moore.
Then they divorced.
Yeah, but they're divorced, bro.
Yeah.
I think they've been together. They were together and then for a long time not together, and now they're married, I think.
Yeah, Mila Kunis and
they were together on that 70s show. Wow. They broke up. He married Demi Moore, and then they broke up, and then he married And then we'll do another podcast. in
The
10
wise
years
old
and
woman taught him like the ways, like to be like a good man.
He'll be married to somebody else
We
in
went
10
to
years.
Pai Mei up on the hill.
He went through some of that G.I. Jane training.
Oh, G.I. Jane. That one will be on the pod in year 7.
I've never actually seen it.
It's really good.
Can
Surprise!
double
Nate's-
feature G.I. Jane and
Nate's
Shawshank
promoting a movie
Redemption.
that I have not seen.
That's a double feature.
So we're going to go over to our new category, sponsored by Drinking with the Director and Writer, brought to you by Last Call Brewing.
Last call.
Oakdale, California.
Home of the future BVK hazy IPA.
We're going
I
to
don't know if it's
be...
gonna
Ooh,
be
hazy.
I thought you guys said
Just
it
kind
was
of
gonna be
tried to
hazy.
sneak that in there really
Wow.
quick.
I was preferring it to be a hazy
I thought
IPA.
Zach said hazy.
Okay.
I'm good with whatever, but we always have the hazy on tap here.
We can see. We can decide which way we want to go.
I wonder.
We'll talk that out.
I wish Walter were here. I'd ask him how you make it hazy, and is it just that you pour like
Grenadine.
milk in it?
This is a milk. They do have
They do, right?
certain beers that they're like, oh, this beer has been enhanced
Milky.
by lactose.
Lactose,
And my
yeah.
lactose intolerant body is like, I will pass.
I mean, I'm not going to talk about anybody in particular, but there's definitely folks I know when they drink lactose involved beers. I know that they've drinking lactose involved beers.
Yeah.
You can say it's your wife.
Damn.
Nate will not be on the
there
next
it
podcast
is.
because he's going to get murdered in his sleep for that comment.
I mean, I'll probably get murdered.
I actually don't. I actually was just taking a shot in the dark there. Apparently, blind squirrel and all. So are we drinking with the director?
So we're going to drink with the director and the writer because I thought maybe we bring Jason Segel in just because I personally love Jason Segel. So what is everybody drinking? Nate, you've got a delicious looking drink there. What is that?
Well, the supply shortage finally sorted itself out, and I've got grenadine again.
Oh, thank God. I was worried about that.
So I've got Diet Pepsi, Buffalo Trace, courtesy of you, Zach, and a squirt of grenadine.
I see his little. It's a squirt bottle of grenadine. I didn't know they make like little squirt
Yeah,
bottles.
it's not the classic like Rosas or whatever they.
Yeah.
it's like a fancier squirt bottle. It tastes pretty much the same.
In case you guys think this is a bit, there's actually like a 64-ounce bottle of grenadine sitting on Nate's bar here.
Yeah, it's
next to the ice and a bottle of Diet Pepsi and then a whole shit ton of whiskey.
It would be funnier if it was a bit, but somehow it's just sad.
Brad, what you drinking tonight, bud?
I'm drinking, considering that the weather around here right now, I mean, we're all sweatered up. We got heaters going and shit. I'm drinking the flip-flop tank top.
Ooh.
the guava kolsch that they have over at Last Call Brewing. It's my favorite, just super refreshing, drinkable beer. It's best in the summer, but you know what? You can drink it when it's cold as fuck, too.
Dude, that looks really cool. I
Beautiful
like
can.
the can is sick. Our boy Walter came through on that one.
Yeah, on a gloomy, kind of winterish day, you got a can like this. It warms you up.
When does Walter not come through? You know what I mean? That's all the guy
agreed.
does.
It's
Nick, what are
true.
you pairing with those Skittles that you're eating one by one? Nick's eating Skittles. He's got a
I'm
Halloween
not trying to
pack
give
of Skittles.
a Skittles pack ASMR for every 14 Skittles in my
Every 32 minutes of the pod, he eats one Skittle and sucks on it.
and step away from the mic as I'm chewing it.
Are you mixing through the colors? Like, do you have a color choice? Like, I got to go green this time?
You know, it's been a while. This is the purple pack, and it's been a while since I've had the purple pack. I don't remember.
Wait, sorry. Oh, is it separate? It's not the standard.
It's like the mixed
pack?
berry.
It's the mixed berry. It's
Oh,
like
yeah,
the
that's
dark
not
mixed
good.
berry. It's not as good, but it's delicious still.
Make do.
I'm drinking, thanks to Nate, I'm drinking his on tap taco truck lager.
Ooh,
Light stuff.
Dust
Keeping
Bowl.
it light too.
Dust Bowl Brewing.
That's right. Dust Bowl Brewing out of Turlock, California. It's delicious, crisp on the tongue.
And I am staying on brand. And I was at the house today, and my wife said, you going to drink this Last Call beer you got in the fridge? And I said, I didn't know I had a Last Call beer in the fridge. Apparently, when Walter was here last time, I took some beer home. It was still in my fridge, and I was drinking Karate in the Garage before I even came down here. And let me tell you guys a little something about Karate in the Garage. Not only is it just a super awesome name, but holy shit. I drank one large cup of it, and I was like, all right, I might need to Uber over to Nate's house to do the pod because it got me a little faded. It was absolutely delicious. Walter, you're doing good things, brother. Okay, so we're bringing in Nick. We're bringing in Jason. All I have written down here is ask Brad about puppets, but
We'll get to that. We'll save that for Shaq Snag Body Bag, I promise. It's coming out 100%.
I just want to really quick recap what this guy has done. Nick Stoller, as a director, he had a pretty good run here. He went Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Get Him to the Greek, 5-Year Engagement, Neighbors 1, and Neighbors 2. He's done a couple of things since then that I haven't seen that I don't think did super great. But, I mean, just listen to these numbers. So, Forgetting Sarah Marshall cost $30 million, made $105 million. We've got Get Him to the Greek, cost $40 million, made $91 million. 5-Year Engagement, didn't make any money. Neighbors, the first one, cost $18 million, made $290 million.
Damn.
Neighbors 2, $35 million, made $98 million. This guy's making fucking money, and he is making some funny-ass movies. Get Him to the Greek is...
Have you seen Get Him to the... Have you guys all seen?
I have not, but I'm
I saw it.
100% interested since it has multiple characters in this movie that are like carryover, correct?
Yeah, I mean,
Except for Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill's a different character,
He's a different
but
character.
he's...
What other characters other than Russell Brand? Do you
I think
know?
that's
I
it.
don't remember.
Wait, doesn't Kristen Bell make a little cameo?
Oh, maybe she does.
maybe, yeah,
The
I don't
movie's
know. Maybe she
not good. I
I
mean,
was wondering what
compared
you
to
got-
Forgetting Sarah Marshall,
Right.
I mean, I guess if it was a standalone movie, I'd be like, it was okay. But when I went into it, saw it in the theater, and was like, this is going to be the best movie of all time because it's bringing back these characters that I love, it was not good. I didn't love it. But
Is Russell Brand, does he carry the movie?
It's
Is it
a basically
He's the main
it's his
character.
movie.
He and-
Like,
he
it's
and
a
Jonah
movie
Hill.
for all
I'd
the
say
snow.
so. I guess it depends on your opinion of Russell Brand, because the dude. Do you know what
I love
basically
Russell
he's
Brand.
now like kind of like a spiritual guru. Like that's what he does online, is just basically talk about spiritualness and like kind of how you should live life. And he's like all about just like good vibes. He has a podcast and stuff. So he's
reformed heroin addict, recovered heroin addict. I love Russell Brand. I think he's very funny, but only in certain stuff. His stand-up's a little rough for me.
Yeah, so Get Him to the Greek is too much.
Exactly. And
Like,
he's
it's an overdose of him.
So we're going to talk about it, or we'll talk about it right now. I think Russell Brand is almost kind of the straight man in this movie. I mean, he's really not over the top or too crazy. I mean,
I think that's calling him the straight man is a sneaky great take, which
Yeah.
is because he sort of has this like weird flourish, but that's exactly it. Like he's just kind of this like straight ahead, ultra honest, and then
Exactly.
everything gets played off of that.
exactly.
he does have probably like one of my favorite lines. I was like, man, if you want to be as ruthless as you could ever be to a person, when he tells Jonah Hill, when he says, he's like, hey man, did you listen to my CD? He's like, oh, that's right, you had my CD, but then I went about.
I
Living
just
my life.
listened to it.
Went
and
on living my
continued
life.
living my life.
It's like, God damn, that's ruthless.
Ruthless but nice at the same time. You know what I mean? He wasn't really being a dick.
At work, I'm like, when people start asking me about things, they're like, oh, did you take care of that for me? I think I'm just going to drop that line.
I will say
consistently
though,
at
I
work.
kind of dropped a line like that the other day at work, and not even to be like mean. I was super just like busy and walking around work, and it was like a side project I was asked to do by a coworker, and just asked, did you get around to how's it going with that thing? Are you anything happening on it? And I said, no.
Just best answer.
classic line,
But it was maybe like no,
just a little inflection.
because I didn't have it in me to like explain or over explain much, and I kind of joked
make an
about
excuse.
it. And
Exactly.
he laughed after, and I kind of laughed too. I'm like, no, it's not that. It's just that I haven't got around to it, and we laughed. And I don't know if he was bugged by it or not, but yeah,
He's like, I really would like if
Unintentional.
you paint me and my dog like really close. Could you just paint a picture of
I
us?
just want a tasteful nude of me and my dog.
So
What do you got for these guys' names? They're sitting at the table.
Can,
they're
can
like,
I ask
what
one
are
real
they
quick
talking
question?
about?
I have one important question, and Zach, this is kind of up your alley. Is Mila Kunis in this movie? Is she an MPDG? Is she a manic pixie dream girl?
Yes, I think so. I think she's.
I don't know what that is.
what is that?
So manic.
What is that?
So manic pixie dream
It's a
girl
trope.
is like every movie has the manic pixie dream girl. So you have your bitchy, mean girl that you either break up with or she cheats on you or whatever it is, and then you move on, and some point in the movie you meet either Zooey Deschanel or Kate Winslet from Spotless Sunshine.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about? I mean, there's so many different examples of this, and she is super nice. She's super funny. She's a good hang. She's beautiful.
And she basically is there to make the main character feel good about themselves.
Exactly. Natalie Portman in Garden State. Like there's so many of them in all these movies, and the Manic Pixie Dream Girl is kind of the kind of just the acronym that's been coming up with for people to explain that character away. It's kind of tropey at this point, but it's gonna continue to go, and I think she is because, like you said, I mean, she's awesome. She's really cool. She's super understanding. She's everything that Kristen Bell is not, right?
Yeah, so I want to jump off that. So there's this interesting moment, and I actually, if I was going to criticize the movie, this might be a slight nitpick. So he's sitting down with Kristen Bell, right, and he says, like, you know, pushing her to say why she broke up with him, and she's giving him all this bullshit, right, and then she finally lays it out,
right.
And he's like, you didn't even try. And she's like, unloads on him. And she's like, oh, I didn't try. And then she lays all these things out. And to this point in the movie, you've been kind of like, you know, we were supposed to hate Kristen Bell and think that she just fucked him over. But then you hear her case, and it's like one of these examples where you're like, oh, like, yeah, it reminds you, you know what I mean? And it's funny, the older I get, the more I have this perspective, right? Where I'm like, you know, I'm hearing this and like, but I know there's another side to this. I know I'm hearing it from one side, and I want to try to keep that in mind. And this is like one of the few examples where you really get that like kind of other side. And for a minute, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Like, it's not that you hate, you're trying to choose. You're just like, oh, this is complicated.
Right.
And then, you know, maybe my critique is they don't ride that very long because she kind of jumps right back into being this like bitch pretty quickly.
Bitch, yeah.
Where
And
she
that's
like
Judd Apatow, right? Like I read a little clip where he talks about, you know, I talked about we wrote a movie that was a drama first, knowing that the funny shit would work its way in to a comedy. Okay. You build the drama with the interesting characters, the deep characters with layers to them, complicated layers,
right?
And then you just insert funny ass people into it. And, you know, you get Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a great, you know, that definitely describes exactly this. And that's one of the things, you know, you talk about being a perfect movie. Part of what makes it a perfect movie is that, like, there is that layering where you don't you know, you get through the movie and you sort of have this feeling like you have some real sympathy for Sarah Marshall, right? In a lot of parts of it. And she's far from perfect, right? There's a lot of problems, but there's a lot of moments, even besides this one, where she's really honest, right? She tells him, she's like, you know, she starts to give him this answer, and he's like, we're not on The View. And she's like, I'm super afraid I'm going to like be irrelevant and I'm going to like be forgotten.
Totally.
And this like vulnerability for a moment where you're like, oh yeah, okay. Like, you know, just because she broke up with him doesn't mean that like she's a terrible person.
Just because she's famous doesn't mean she's a terrible person.
And they feel like they're two people who had just got out of a 5-year relationship.
Exactly.
And that's where it goes to Mila Kunis being kind of the manic pixie girl, is that they don't develop her as much. Like, she has the crazy ex-surfer boyfriend, and then she's like, I think I should go to college. It's kind of weakly developed, I think, as out of all the characters, she's
the weakest, yeah, the most one-dimensional.
But she's so fun. Like, everything that they do together, like, Peter's just this big, like, oh, I'm feeling bad for myself, and she makes every situation fun, whether he wants to make it fun or not.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of the manic pixie dream girl. You're taking this, she's the manic Pixie Dream Girl. She is taking everything that his depressedness doesn't want him to do and forcing him into having a good time, having this and all that. And she's beautiful. And, you know, but Nate made a great point there about Sarah Marshall. That's like, I try, you know, I'll get into verbal altercations with my wife quite often, and I've learned
mostly
quickly
about his draft position.
I've learned quickly not to throw out like crazy accusations like that, like you don't try or whatever it is, whatever we're arguing about. Because this chick has always got some insane like comebacks, like, well, you don't do this and this, and I've got one thing that she's done wrong, and then she'll come back with like 47 things that I have done, and I'm like, fuck, I can't even argue with that. God damn it. It ruins my argument real quick.
Well, so I guess I love that layering. The other thing I really want to bring up with the directors, and that I think is like a true hallmark of what makes a lot of different movies kind of like, sets them apart, is they come at you with things that you go, there's no way you just sat around and thought this up and made it work. And that's the Dracula musical, right? Like, this has to come from a more sincere place. And as somebody who often sings popular songs in weird voices in his car, I can tell you where that place is. And it's the weird space where you're alone and you're like, I'm just going to try some things. And once in a while, Paul Rudd does this in movies. So like you'll see it occasionally where he'll just like, he does a little bit of this, I think, in like I Love
Slapping
You,
the
Man.
bass.
Slapping the bass. Calls him Jobin, right? Like he comes up with these things where it's just like you're just trying stuff, and you're and it's not even the same as like ad-libbing in a movie. It's like those things that have to happen really organically over time. And I gotta say, I'm somebody that generally hates musicals, and I don't love stage. And I am all the way in on the Dracula musical.
It's so good.
I would go and watch that like every night for a week. Like I'm in on that. Why is that music so catchy?
Well, and why is it
Welcome to my world.
Why does it
Welcome to
kind of
my
like?
world.
Why is it like
Puppets.
pluck at like your heartstrings in that movie? Like you see this guy who's like going through this horrible breakup. He plays this corny ass song in this
And you're
bar,
just-
and it's so damn good. And you're like, oh, he's talking about himself, like he's hurt,
Captivated.
and like she's like captivated by it. That's where she falls for him, maybe. Arguably,
I totally have a note about
it's an amazing song. Then you're laughing, and then the dude at the bar just is loving it. His wife's looking at him like,
Yeah,
"What
one
are you
guy-
laughing about?"
the one
He's like,
guy gets it.
He loves it.
Oh God, it's
The
so good.
reaction of the bar is the most realistic part of the movie because they don't go crazy.
Right. It's not like
very
last week when we
realistic.
were talking about the graduation scene where everybody starts clapping.
Exactly.
Yeah, in crazy,
Steve
in
Carell.
Crazy Stupid Love. Yeah, they force that, and this is totally not forced. But right, the look on her face, it reminded me that like occasionally I'll have conversations with my wife where she'll say, "Yeah, it's super attractive to see somebody do something that they're both really good at and that they're really passionate about, and it like kind of doesn't matter what else is going on or if it's weird or if I care about it." And the look on Mila Kunis's face in the scene is like perfectly that. She's just so digging it because she's like, oh man, like he's really worked on this.
Well, and this
passionate
is so,
about it.
and
He
it's
loves
so
this.
far beyond anything she would have ever maybe like entertained. But because she's the coolest chick in the world,
Exactly.
she's open to
Fair
it
point.
and just like all over it. So
Why aren't they doing comedies anymore? I would ask these guys, like, you've got the movie Neighbors that like fucking 50x'd. You know what I mean? You spent $18 million and you made $290 million. Like, Forgetting Sarah Marshall was a big hit. I really liked 5 Year Engagement. Like, this guy's done some really good shit. I feel like the comedy has just kind of gone away. Like, I don't understand what's happening in Hollywood right now. We're just going to remake and do comic book movies? I know this is like a tired take, but I feel like around 2010 or something like that, there's just like no more good comedies that have come out. I mean, what after 2010 has been really funny that you guys have gone and been like, oh, I loved that comedy movie? I looked for a little while and I couldn't find anything that I thought was spectacular. I don't know if it's because I'm getting old and there's like some really cool comedies that are coming out for young people, but I don't think there are.
I think part of it is the transition to TV where there's just so much TV options, whether it's Netflix or whatever. And then just like a lot of things are going in the TV route. So
episodes.
That's a great call, Brad. That's a great call because there's some good, funny TV shows for sure.
Yeah. And I think that it's weird because all of a sudden TV is like the hot place to be. So it's like TV, you can do a little bit more. You can work around, like you can have episodes, writer's room where they're kind of developing things as they go along. So, I mean, I think that's kind of what's become the bigger thing more than movies.
Yeah, I mean, so I had this reaction too when we were doing Crazy Stupid Love, and I was kind of thinking of like, what's the rom-coms of this era? And it definitely has a fall off around that time, but you miss some really good ones, right? Like there may not be this sort of level, but you get stuff like so in 2018 you get Game Night, which is pretty funny.
I liked it, but
like you throw it up against like the big dogs. You know what I mean?
Deadpool in 2016.
No, that's garbage. I mean, you're throwing in those movies up against like I mean, a lot of Apatow stuff, like Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Knocked Up, 40-Year-Old Virgin, stuff like that.
But then Anchorman, like we've talked about Anchorman and
those silly, Step Brothers and stuff like that.
The one standout that makes the cut, and maybe you think of this as earlier era, as Bridesmaids 2011.
See, that's
very-
when movies died.
Absolutely hilarious. It's nonstop.
I think after that, it's done. I mean, maybe Trainwreck was after that. I liked Trainwreck, but I mean,
Trainwreck was good.
21 Jump Street's pretty good.
Yeah,
there was also kind of a little bit of a lash out against the whole adolescent, like childlike adolescent, adult white male. I mean, that kind of became a thing where it's like, how many more movies are we gonna have where it's like the old
school,
the man child that is stunted, but he just like ends up getting the hot girl, and like that was kind of like there was a backlash against it in a weird sense.
It's weird that a bunch of middle-aged white guys would be into that.
So I want to throw out a couple things here before we leave drinking. You guys can, take these if you like and run with them or no, but Hader is just all-time great, like, sort of quick hitter here. I mean, he's just so good, so funny in all of it. The scene in the kitchen where he's like, "You really want to have this conversation right now?" She is the mother of my unborn child. I mean, it's just...
And his obsession with the backgrounds was pretty classic.
Unreal, Hey, I'm on the moon. Just so funny. The pediatrician comes in for this quick hitter.
Yeah,
I had thought that was his dad for some reason.
I know.
Honestly, it seems like that's the correct joke. There is that it should be his dad,
but it's like
a weird, odd relationship.
But he's still seeing his pediatrician.
He's like, Peter,
you should
put your
use your
dick
dick. He's like, you should use your dick. You should fuck as much as you can. Just use a condom.
It's a good-looking dick.
Good-looking dick.
Classic.
You're sitting on a fire truck.
So we talked earlier just a minute ago about the fact that Aldous Snow, is it Aldous?
Aldous, yeah.
Is kind of the straight man. The exception to that is when he's either in his video or he's on stage doing the thing, right? And he has this fucking like gyrating, slow move hip, full bent over, weird like sexy yoga move. And then the opening video, like you can't sleep on that, right? Do Something is one of the all-time like great parody videos of making fun of so much shit at the same time.
That's why I pick him every time in our made-up.
He takes the cops' guns.
He takes the cop guns, licks them or something, and gives them back to him. He hugs like all these people in like various forms of ethnic dress. He fucking, I mean, he stands there with the signs, the little like
Damn, what is that signs?
It was very David Brent from the BBC Office.
Sodomize intolerance.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, what does that mean? I mean,
do something.
All right, so that's all gold. I want to talk about Hawaiians for a second here. And Brad, how much Hawaiian are you?
I mean, I'm Portuguese. My grandpa was born in Hawaii, but it was Portuguese folks that came from Portugal to Hawaii, and I mean there was like a couple generations that were there. So
you're not real Hawaiian. Okay,
I'm not actual islander Hawaiian.
So one of the things like that I like about the some of like the scene on the beach and stuff was this isn't the brunch, bro. Like Hawaiians are fucking brutal, dude. Like it's kind of a fun like one of the contrasts I like about it is like people go to Hawaii as this tropical vacation, and the picture on one hand of Hawaiian culture is like it's super, laid back and everything's very cool and paradise. But like native Hawaiians who feel like their fucking land has been stolen, they'll throw the fuck down.
Oh, I have some family members. So we did a family reunion out there a few years back, and talked to some of my family members who've still been there since generations. And they're like, "Oh yeah, there's definitely spots on the island. This is on Oahu." And they're like, "There's definitely spots you don't want to go.
You don't want to go. Like
because
you think
they'll
of it
be
as
like, fuck you, Holly, and you're gonna get your ass beat."
Yeah, no, I mean, and you get a little snippet of that here, which I kind of like. But it is just So my last quick comment here is: does Peter really have that kind of game
to get Mila?
Well, I mean, early on, right? Like he decides he's going to go and just plow through a bunch of chicks, right? And every one of the girls that like is in those funny scenes is really good looking, and he seemingly gets them easier. But on the one hand, I'm like, he doesn't strike you as this like sort of Lothario. On the other, I love the scene where he's sitting there, the first set of girls, and he's like brutally honest. He's like, you guys are both very attractive to me, and he's looking
Super
above them, trying to see who's like
So
going to
handsome.
take it.
You're so
And it's
silly.
like he's testing like which one's gonna, and he's like, I would think having sex with you, either of you, would be a wonderful experience. And he's looking back and forth, and it's like on the one hand you're like, this seems silly, but on the other it's like, dude, that's so right on. It's like, it's that playing the percentages thing, like manifest in a perfect little scene. So I guess I'm wondering though, is like, is that pushed a little too hard, or do we think Peter really just got that swagger?
I have the answer to that, and the answer is yes. Peter definitely could pull chicks, and there's two reasons why. And one, and this is not the main reason, and that first reason is that he's a funny guy. He's successful, funny guy. He can say, I do the music for this TV show
Right.
that you've heard of, and that is huge. But that's like 10% of it. The other 90%, he's fucking tall. That's all you need. If you are not...
You think tall game is just the deal?
I think that tall... I watch a lot of dating shows on Netflix and just absolute garbage TV, like the British version of like Love Island and stuff like that. Every single hot chick on there is like, oh, and you got guys with six-pack abs. They're just the most spectacular looking dudes.
Little
And the
Zac Efrons.
and the chicks are every time just like, I mean, he's okay, but he's kind of short. You know what I mean? And they got
Apologies to all the short guys.
tall douches. I mean, the short guys know. I mean, this is a known thing, but I mean, tall douchey dudes
Tall drinks
are going to pull
tall drinks
chicks
a douche.
because girls like tall dudes.
My question to that though is there any chance that Mila Kunis is into him if she doesn't see the fact that this famous kind of actress was the one who he used to date? Like if that connection is not made, like if she just happens not to be there, I don't think there's any chance that
That's definitely supposedly
That's a
thing,
good call, Brad.
right? Is that you like, you show the girl that your old girlfriend was hot, and she's like, "Oh, well, you're a guy that gets hot girls, so I am hot."
Yeah,
That's
I think that plays into it 100% in
If
that
he's-
situation,
if he's-
particular situation.
If he's 5'8", there's no way Mila talks to him more than 8 seconds. There's no fucking way he's getting that Kapua suite for
so
free.
What you're basically saying is, if you're tall and you have a previous hot girlfriend, sky's the limit.
I even eliminate the previous hot girlfriend thing. I just think if you're
all tall.
6'3" or over, it's you're going to do pretty well.
Oh, I'm not 6'3", so I can't weigh in on
Neither am I.
Neither are we.
This episode of Bev's Video Kingdom is brought to you by the debut album, You Don't Bring Me Flowers and I'm Going to Kill Myself by Peter Breder. Is the greatest songwriter performer of this or any generation, Neil Diamond, too much of a lovey-dovey pussy for you? Then you need to throw away those shitty albums and pick up You Don't Bring Me Flowers and I'm Going to Kill Myself from Peter Breder. With dark and emotional tracks like Bitter Caroline and songs sung really blue, you'll reach deep into the emotional depths of Peter's heartbroken soul. The moody darkness will have you screaming out in pain along with the brooding sounds of Forever in Torn, Stained, Dark Black Jeans. So pick up the new album from Peter Breder, lock yourself in a cold, damp room, and listen to the best album of 2008, You Don't Bring Me Flowers, and I'm Going to Kill Myself.
Cold and damp.
Dark.
I'm going to kill myself.
It's the dark, gothic Neil Diamond vibe he's going for.
That legit sounds like something Zach probably would download immediately.
We're kicking those guys out of here. We're going shag, snag, body bag. So here on Bev's Video Kingdom, we like to break down the movies into 3 categories. What do we want to shag? What do we want to snag? What do we want to body bag? Fuck, marry, kill, whatever you guys want to call it. What is everybody shagging tonight from this movie, Mr. Nate?
Well, I'm shagging something that's deeply personal, and that is singing as though you're Dracula. So one of my favorite, I do a lot of sort of personal voice work, and when I say personal, I just mean I mostly do it for myself in the car when I'm alone. And so what I personally like to sing the most in the Dracula voice is "Shut Up and Dance" by Walk the Moon.
What?
Yeah, I do a Dracula version of Shut Up and Dance.
So I literally have no idea what this song is.
You do if you heard it. It's like a wedding. It's like a wedding dance song.
Don't you dare look back.
No.
Don't take your eyes off me. She said you're holding back. I said shut up and dance with me.
Oh, I do know this song. You had the accent good there,
Pretty
bro.
good.
I've done a lot of it. So I think that the reason that despite my general hatred of musicals, it's just something really rang deeply true about singing.
Fuck.
Yeah.
One.
Occasionally it strays off into Russian, but usually I stick with a pretty good Transylvanian accent.
But it's close. I mean, Transylvania is right there at the border.
That's
I mean,
pretty much the same.
Can
thing.
you do what you just said one.
Are we putting in request? That was the Sesame Street.
Is this request?
Repeat steps 1, 2, 3, 2.
On a future pod, I'll do my my Paradise by Coldplay as Elmer Fudd.
Sounds amazing.
I'm looking forward to that a lot. Speaking of deeply personal, if there's any doubt of what I'm going to be shagging here, I wrote Puppets, Muppets, and Jason Segel.
I think this is on brand and
Because
beautiful.
I mean, as much as this podcast has been about me, my favoritism towards Muppets and puppets, the fact that they bring in not only the Muppet Show, the theme. I mean, he plays on the piano early, and then the fact that this director and Jason Segel go on to make Muppet movies is pretty amazing. And the puppet Transylvania Dracula scene, all of this is like in my wheelhouse. So I dig it all. Really love it. I'm glad to see the Muppets getting their love. The Muppets are eternal. They will live forever. They will outlast you all.
Fucking train is so loud, Brad. I can't even hear you talking about puppets right now. I don't know if anybody can hear that on the pod.
In the Outdoor Bevs Video Kingdom studio, we interact with nature and industry. And
The occasional Santa Fe line train just cruising by,
that's right.
delivering your goods just in time for the holidays.
No supply chain problem here.
Yeah, I was
All
going to say, there's nothing about the railroad is on time. Nikki, what are we doing here?
Before having the career that I have now, I was a freelance artist that worked from home. You wake up and it was oil painter, graphic designer, tried to be a jack of all trades, making a living that way. So when this movie came out, it was kind of right up my wheelhouse where you're waking up. Do I stay in my sweats? Do I put on some like work clothes to make it feel like I'm punching the clock and actually going to a job when I'm just pretty much staying in home or like my room/studio? And then you go through stretches like he did where you take a load off for a second, and not that I had a ginormous bowl of Fruit Loops, but maybe you turn on a movie, maybe you get sucked into that movie, and you take your 15-minute smoke break, turns into a 2.5-hour Shawshank Redemption run for the 15th time. But just being at home, working from home, just thinking of those kind of like good old days and like hustling, which is what Peter is doing in the movie, and just the "You Shall Not Pass" from Gandalf and Lord of the Rings,
One of
and
the
just
best parts of the movie.
the shenanigans that he gets into while working from home, and then he gets the call, from Sarah, and then he has to act like he was,
Doing
like
some
I'm
shit.
doing stuff, writing.
Oh, you're coming home early? Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
No, I definitely did the day.
So it just made me think of those, those good old days, because those feel like a long time ago. But love seeing it, and I love how the movie opens with it.
I'm going just super straightforward. I'm going Jonah Hill as Matthew the waiter. I think he steals this entire movie. Every scene that he's in, he is the bright spot. He does not have one line that doesn't make me laugh in this whole movie. I mean, 6 to midnight, when he's talking to his friend on the phone about buying weed from him while he's at work. When
You
he's
called me at work. you
Exactly.
know?
When he's shaming Jason Segel about eating alone, every time he's on screen, he absolutely kills me. I'm going to talk more about him later, but oh my God, I just love him so much. His interactions with Russell Brand throughout the movie, it's fucking gold.
Are you going to sing the Inside.
Oh, and that's even better.
Inside of me.
When he's singing
when he
along.
hits that
Yeah.
Oh my
and he gives
god.
He's kind of trying to harmonize.
He gives
a
the
little bit.
Whitney Houston like
It's so good.
Well,
Just that little vocal
what's the line
inflection.
when he messes up on Jason Segel's order and it was like, "I'm gonna go kill myself."
I'll go fuck myself.
I'll go fuck myself.
So
Stuff.
that's our shags. We're moving on to snag. I'm going to start it off. So my snag, what? These guys are pointing at me, fucking doing all sorts of weird shit.
We don't have the
God.
board out. We're just trying to figure shit out. Just go.
Oh, now he's flipping me off. Thanks, Nick. Nick just flipped me off.
I did not. You're
So-
making that up.
I'm calling my own number. We're going shag snag. We're on snag. So my snag is moving to the beach or going to the beach or whatever it is. So at some point in my life, I graduated from high school and I moved to the beach to live next to the beach. Holy shit. It's so fucking awesome.
It is so choice.
It is so awesome. So, I mean, I lived there for 5 or 6 years. It was some of the greatest times ever. It was weird because I was there as sort of a college student in a really, like, one of the most expensive areas in the world to live, and I had no money. So I couldn't really do a lot of super fun stuff that you can do now when you go there. But, dude, just that whole thing of you know he goes to Hawaii to forget or to remember or to whatever it is. It doesn't matter, but when you can do that sort of thing, it's just the greatest. I love it. Freaking living by the beach was some of the coolest shit ever. We ended up moving back away from the beach because we were living in literally the tiniest apartment ever 2 blocks away from the beach that was like $2,500 a month. So we moved away, but it was awesome while it lasted.
Is it weird that I don't like the beach?
It is weird. That is weird. Why don't you like the beach?
You don't like the beach?
I mean, there are things about the beach I like. I just don't like sand. Like,
Well,
Which is weird because we've like spent many moments like either playing volleyball or body surfing and like hanging out on the beach.
yeah, I hated the sand.
see, but you're not thinking about one thing that Nate has that none of us have, and he's got a really high butt crack.
That's absolutely facts.
When you've got a butt crack that comes to like your 5th fucking vertebrae,
Yeah, no, it's a problem. Like
Yeah.
MRIs and stuff.
they're like, we got sand in here from 1984.
It's long and it's deep and it's you don't want to deal with any of that.
Wow.
All right, so I'm gonna snag, and maybe mine's gonna be obvious too, but I'm gonna snag Jason Segel here. I mean, he writes this movie and he stars in it, and it's just, I mean, you know, like Zach's opened with, you know, it's darn near perfect if it's not, and he is the force behind it. He's great in every scene. He's pitch perfect in terms of his delivery. The writing is really, really good.
He's a damn good actor too.
He's
a really good actor.
legitimate good actor. And I guess, you know, I mean, he's had a good career. He's been in a lot of things, but given how well this came off, he wrote a few more things that he starred in. The 5-Year Engagement, Sex Tape maybe is the one that he does the screenplay and he is the star of, and it's probably pretty underrated. I think actually it's really funny.
I think it's the weakest of his catalog.
It might be, well,
but it's not terrible. It's still okay.
The
you know?
Muppet movies. I don't know.
Well,
Did any of you
watch
actually
those.
watch the Muppet movie?
no,
I did
bro.
not. No.
You should watch it. It actually is a very charming, fun movie.
I'm sure it is charming and fun, Brad.
I'll take your word for it.
Anyway,
Dude,
so
Man or Muppet is a great song. It was nominated for a fucking Oscar.
Is that like human or Are We Human or Are We Dancer? Is that the same?
I can also do that one as well.
Am I a man?
All right.
Or am I a Muppet? If I'm a Muppet, I'm a very manly Muppet.
Sounds really good.
It's a good song.
No, I meant this song sounds really good. Your voice obviously sounds beautiful, but
All right. So I'm just going to piggyback on you guys, but I'm going to also just tie in the connection to the Dracula the musical that's somehow woven through this movie that works surprisingly without at all making it cheesy, without at all making it a Muppet movie. And the music actually having like the heart that doesn't deflect from the movie or distract you, and it actually adds to it, which is really, when you say that, right? Isn't it funny that, you know, Muppet musical kind of
About Dracula singing about
about Dracula is like what is like part one of the connected to the heart of the movie a little bit.
Well, I mean, so for me, right on that point, right, like the embodiment of that is in a single line, right, which is the last line of the key song, which he says, it's die, die, die. I can't. And it's like delivered both. It's like simultaneously the like so funny and silly and so profound.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my God, like it's a perfect metaphor and also ridiculous.
Right.
Like at the same time, it's just so good.
It's so good. So I got a little bit of all that. That's what I got for my snag. It's old Jason Segel, but Dracula the musical.
So my snag is the idea of using quick flashbacks to make a point.
Dude, that's so funny.
There's
It's
multiple
done well.
times in the movie where somebody kind of thinks back real quick about like, oh shit, I'm in this situation, and they start thinking back to like previous moments, and they do it really well in this movie. It's just like a quick jump back to all of a sudden imagining, oh, that's how I was, or that's how I behaved, or that's how that person behaved.
I call it Family Guy moment.
Yeah, a little Family Guy moment, a quick flashback. I really dug it.
There's a little bit of this in 40-Year-Old Virgin that's executed pretty well too, but not as well as in this movie.
I mean, they do it in all types of movies. If you think of like The Usual Suspects, I mean, when they finally realize it's who Kevin Spacey is.
But I mean, this one, what you're picking up, right, is like this is thrown in multiple times and used kind of the device is used similarly as like a series of flashes that they're perfectly paced.
Right, and I really dig that. So that's my snag for this movie.
And it's also like everyone can relate to that.
Right.
If anyone's gone through a breakup, the thing you go through, or good things, the thing you go through immediately is that flash.
You think of those moments like, oh,
Right.
those moments meant this when I thought they meant this, or whatever. Yeah.
It's a handbag, or what is it? What he says to the bartender? I'm fucking with you.
Little self-reflection. What do we hate from this movie? This was a tough one. This was a tough one for me. But Nick, what are you going with on your body bag, brother?
All right, so I had to reach a little bit, but based on your guys' take on this guy, I think it's gonna be a hot take, which I'm excited about. So, Jack McBrayer.
Oh my God.
So he plays the same character in everything that he does.
Pretty much.
And
So does
That's
Will
right.
Ferrell, but we love Will Ferrell.
okay, that's not to say I didn't laugh like at his parts, but then you think back to Ricky Bobby and the Talladega Nights. It's the exact same character. Practically, it could have been that character. He was on his honeymoon. He came back and he's working for Ricky Bobby. 30 Rock, same character. So I was just thinking about that it's just like, I wonder, I don't know. I haven't seen him perform a different character. So like I said, it's a reach. I still laugh in his parts, but Jack McBrayer, sorry, bud.
You know what's funny is that Jack McBrayer is involved in my body bag as well, but mine is I wanted more of an ending with Jack McBrayer and Maria Thayer. I wanted so I guess he steps up and he wants to. I want to see what they're doing when they're happy at the end, because you get he's kind of like slapping her ass and it's like a little bit more like they've got it going. And I know he was taught a little bit by Russell Brand like what to do. But I want one more scene with them, like what went on in the sack when he really like turned it on, and like I want to see them like getting funky and having some fun, because I think they were a fun couple, and they kind of just get dropped off to the side.
They sped through that a bit, yeah.
I want to see a Team America.
That's basically what I wanted, the non-puppet version, the live action version of the Team America.
He walks away from the bar and he's like, off to find the mythical clitoris.
But yeah, I mean, he's born in Georgia. He's got that little kind of Southern accent, and he plays typically the same role. I mean, Fix-It Felix in Wreck-It Ralph is basically the same character, and it's funny, like he does kind of play that same character. But I really like that character, so I was happy that he was in this movie.
So I want to body bag the arc. This is kind of a weird one. I guess what I would say is it's uneven, where there are these moments where like the Mila Kunis, my perception of how interested she is in Peter is really like, at times I think it just seems like she's completely uninterested and she almost pities him.
She's being nice.
Exactly. And then, and even up to that moment where like they're on the cliff and then she kind of jumps when he's going to kiss her. But then she decides in the water that's the moment. I guess it felt to me like they couldn't decide exactly how to portray her sort of like slow move toward being interested in him. And so they did it in a kind of like halting way. And I don't know what I wanted them to do, but it wasn't exactly that. It felt a little bit unbelievable when she finally kisses him. I remember having the reaction the first time. Oh, was I supposed to think that was really going to happen and that she's like all of a sudden really into it? Because I don't buy that.
I guess I feel like she is sort of getting into him, but she doesn't want to be. She's trying to decide that she doesn't want to be. She's trying to convince herself that she doesn't want to be. And then when he's hanging off the cliff and she's like worried about him, she realizes, so maybe I really like him.
But they don't give you the
impression that she's worried.
Anything, or that she's trying to convince herself, no, you don't want to.
I think in the very beginning when he's there, she's worried. And then eventually she's like, tells him that she can like smell his pussy from here or whatever she tells him, which is so
like I said,
I can see your pussy.
It goes back to the fact that he was dating the hot Hollywood star before. And then she's like, okay, there's something about this dude, because if he's the crier and then he's like pathetic on that cliff and stuff, and there's no association with Kristen Bell's character, she's
but like earlier than that, she sees him in the bar do his thing, and like she's super into it, and so like you like I said, it's like there are these moments where you go, oh yeah, okay, I see it, and then it's like gone.
They don't make it that far to the bar though if Kristen Bell's not involved.
Totally agree.
My body bag is tough because I love everything about this movie, but I'm going to body bag one of my idols as far as a movie maker goes, and that is Judd Apatow. So I love every Judd Apatow directed, produced, or adjacent movie that he has pretty much ever done, except for Funny People, which is fucking garbage. But he does one thing that I hate, and that is he drags out movies, and I don't think that he does that here, so it's not really the most apropos body bag, because I think this movie is an appropriate length, and I don't think there's a ton of stuff we could cut. I think the pig scene is the one thing that I'd cut from this movie. Besides that, every single other one of his movies that he's either involved with, produced, directed, or in any way, shape, or form involved with is 30 minutes too long by every account. I mean, I don't know if you guys agree. It's just, my God.
I think it's comedies in general. If you get to that 2 hour mark with the comedy, a lot of times that means there's probably a lot of filler there that needs to be cut out.
The big thing for me is that it's also what I like about him is that he lets the actors sit in the scene and riff and bullshit, which kind of makes it tough for him to cut shit out because there's probably a ton of
let go of stuff.
And it makes sense, like what he said about building a drama first and then letting the funny people work.
We'll plug the comedy in there. Yeah.
Right. That explains why the length might be that long.
Totally. All right. We're moving on. It's getting late. It's getting wet. We're getting misted on in Nate's backyard, and we are going to move on
we get wet? I didn't know you like to get wet.
That's topical.
Training day.
I like that.
Yeah, go listen. If you want to know what that's about, go listen to our training day pod.
What do you think about getting wet?
Oh, yeah.
Brad, disappoint us all with the fact that no one from this movie's on Cameo.
So I would like to disappoint you, but surprisingly and unfortunately, formerly on Cameo,
Jack McBrayer,
our lovely lady Kristen Bell.
What? Really?
Dax Shepard's better half was on Cameo for a while, but since she's former, I can't see what her price was.
I guarantee you she's 300 plus.
I think that would have been probably.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, goddamn.
Does she do
Frozen,
ASMR?
she's in Frozen. Come on.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You're charging hell. You know how many little girls want Kristen Bell to talk to them?
Mm-hmm. I've got one at home that loves Frozen a lot.
Is she it?
No. We have one, not a main cast member, so not one of the main characters, but
The bartender.
no, not even when I say main character, not even on the island of Hawaii.
The doctor.
No.
Oh, the sound engineer guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
The
sound.
guy that says dark and ominous, like getting your dick lost is a bad thing.
You're going a little too deep.
It's a great line.
No.
What do we got?
We've got, and it's funny because you see him listed in two different names. Some sites go by his young, up and coming actor name, Billy, but a lot of them have him listed as William.
Baldwin?
That would be Billy. William Billy Baldwin
Really?
is on Cameo.
So I'll bet he charges a pretty penny. I bet he's. My bid here.
A lesser Baldwin.
I'm going to say he's 170.
All right.
I'm gonna say 250.
I mean, how
That's backdraft.
close to the bottom of the Baldwin barrel are you scraping when you're talking to Billy?
He's
in the middle.
He's probably second. I'd say he and Steven are pretty.
I mean, Steven was in Biodome, bro. One of the greatest comedies of all time.
It's a classic.
Does
It might
that
be on the pod
diminish?
someday.
Does that diminish my my take that this is the greatest comedy of all time? Okay, so I'm gonna go $122.
And by the Price is Right rating, Zach is the winner there because Billy Baldwin's charging $150 for that personal message.
There you go, Zach. Good job.
You won.
baby.
You won something. Zach.
If
I always win this fucking category.
for Billy Baldwin to give a shout out to BVK podcast, though, we're talking $1,050.
Business price.
It's hilarious to me. I'm like, why did you decide on that extra $50? Why not just $1,000? He's like, no, $1,050.
Cameo probably takes $50.
That's actually probably that's the government's charge. Right
my
there. So
gas.
it's like, I need my grand to go shout out your business, but Cameo's taking 50 of that.
Cameo's got to take some money so that they can pay us for our advertising, our fucking free advertising.
They're
Cameo.
gonna owe us back pay for
Yes.
just years.
For sure. As all the people are going back to our back catalog of our pods, and they're like, "Oh my god, they promoted Cameo like crazy."
So there's a ton.
Cameo, that means you need to get in quick.
Come on, Cameo.
It's going to be the price is going to be a lot higher when you officially decide to sponsor us.
Dudes, there is a ton of stuff that is adjacent to this movie, whether you're going rom-com, whether you're going Apatow comedy, whether you're going TV, movies. What are we thinking on streaming, Bradley?
So I'm going with the kind of the rom-com part of this, and I could have used this when we did our last rom-com, the Crazy Stupid Love. But I'm going to drop it here because it's got two of the main characters. Well, not main characters, but two of the characters from this movie. I'm going to go with They Came Together with Paul Rudd, Amy Poehler. Bill Hader is also in this movie. And it's a silly, absolute spoof on romantic comedies. I mean, you can tell by the title, They Came Together. It is a ridiculous, fun movie. It's my romantic comedy. It's the one that I actually really enjoy a lot, and it's streaming on HBO Max.
Damn, I have never seen that. It's good.
Oh, my brother, you got to watch
Oh,
it.
damn. All right.
Nick, no? Oh,
No.
It's one to watch with the wives. It is stupid fun.
You said Amy Poehler?
Paul Rudd, Amy Poehler are the main characters, and they fall in love and a bunch of just hijinks happen.
Sweet.
I recently went to New York City.
Oh,
and
New
was-
York City's a character in this movie.
New York City.
And I was sitting outside of a fancy New York City restaurant, and Amy Poehler walked by us twice.
What?
And we didn't even notice. And our friend that's from New York was like, "Oh, that's Amy Poehler right there." And we looked and we were
Damn.
like, "Oh shit, it is Amy Poehler."
You got to watch They Came Together then. It brings all the New York and Amy Poehlerness that you want. It comes together.
I love that. So my streaming recommendation, I've got 4, and I'm going to run them through super quick. So Freaks and Geeks, I've recommended this before, and none of you guys have watched it yet. It's fucking amazing.
I've watched like 4 episodes.
Jason Segel, it's so good. It's only 1 season, which is one of the saddest things ever. Apatow produced. It's got Seth Rogen, Jason Segel, Linda Carlini, freaking James Franco. It's got everybody. It's so good. 5-Year Engagement, also directed by the same director that did this. I really liked it. Emily Blunt, Chris Pratt, Allison Brie, Jason Segel, great cast. It's not near as good as this movie, but it's a very good romantic comedy. And the last one I'm going to go with, because we're on the beach in Hawaii and we're hanging out there, we're going White Lotus, which is a series on HBO Max, which I don't know. I think Nate
Just finished it. Weird.
Dude,
I've started
it was
good, but
very weird, and I really dug it. So go check those out. I know that's a lot of recommendations. Nate, you got a streaming rec for us?
I do. I feel like I might have done this one before on the pod, but I don't care. I'll do it every week. So actually, Zach's wife, knowing that I'm the rom-com master, was bored at work and asked me for a rom-com streaming recommendation.
Time out.
You just did
You
this.
did this
last
on the
week.
last on Crazy Stupid
Did
Love.
I do the same one?
Yeah.
I'm going to do it again.
Love that.
So if you haven't seen it or you didn't listen to my recommendation last week, watch Sleeping with Other People. Jason Sudeikis, Alison Brie. Apparently, I'm a one-trick pony, but
God damn, I'm gonna have to watch this movie now.
it's on Prime with the AMC add-on, and it's so good that you should watch it 2 weeks in a row.
Forgot that you watched it last week, and go ahead and watch it again.
That is fucking hilarious. All right. As we said, this is a perfect movie. We've got one more thing to talk about before we slip into the night, boys. Does anybody have an alternate ending or reshelf it for this movie? We're going to go into Bev's Video Kingdom. We hear that little bell that goes off when you walk in. You put your videos in the little slot right next to the door that falls down so that you can return them so you don't get those late fees. And then you're going to grab Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and you're going to take it to another part of the video store. I'm going to throw it to Nikki. What you got, big boy?
I'm gonna ramp up. Sorry if I'm stepping on Brat. Oh wait, I am gonna step on yours because you said something about ramping up the puppets, huh?
No, not at all.
All right,
I stayed away from the puppets.
It's the first time for everything.
Ramping up the puppets in this and taking it towards the Team America, rated R, rated NC-17. So it's Peter creating the puppets to start the movie. It's kind of him. It's showing him actually creating the sewing himself, whatever, creating them.
Ooh, like Geppetto.
They come to life.
Oh my God, it's really like Geppetto.
And they see and they witness him, and he doesn't know that they've come to life, and they witness him go through this breakup. They basically stow away on the plane with him to Hawaii. And it's all about them trying to fuck with Sarah Marshall. First of all, when they find out, and it's like them getting the hijinks and sabotaging Sarah Marshall and Aldous Snow, but then also helping.
And he's trying to hide them from people.
No, they don't know that. No, they don't know. Like, they stowed away, so they're just hiding. He has no idea that they came to life, and they're just helping him. Like,
so
randomly.
It's unbeknownst to Segel.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then they're helping him and Rachel kind of get into romantic situations, and then the two just happen to, because it's Dracula and his lover, right, or the two that come to life. They have their own romantic thing. So that, the scene when they're doing like the loud, they're having sex loud and they're yelling and everything, banging on the door, while Dracula and his bride, they're also having loud, messy, hot sex too.
I love that.
And Segel, they think they hear something yelling and they like stop for a second, and then Dracula and his wife stop for a second, and then they go at it again and they keep making noise. And
so is there like the moment, like a Toy Story moment where the puppets like go limp whenever he comes around, so they don't know, and then like maybe he grabs one of them and like jerks off into one of them, and then they have to wake up. They have to wake up later, all ashamed that they got that they got cummed on.
Yes, and that's why this is a collaboration between you guys.
I like
and myself. And then really quick, I just had like another one. I
like that idea, Nick. That was a good idea.
It was a horror movie one
coming on puppets.
Horror movie one where like the phone does kill you. It's called Hello. That's the name. That's what I got, and I don't got a lot more. I felt like it had to be talked about.
There was a random thing on IMDb that said that I guess Kristen Wiig was actually in a movie where the phone's like trying to kill people, and they didn't know that, and they had her do that whole scene, which is fucking hilarious. Brad.
So I'm going to throw a reshelf here, and it's going to be a little bit of a bigger reshelf because no longer does it involve Jason Segel. But we're going to go ahead, and you know what? I didn't talk about him much in this pod, but kind of like my love for Brick Tamland, I kind of have a big love for Kunu, because Kunu is a very funny character. He's absurd pretty much all the times that he's on the scene. And so I want to put Kunu in a kind of a Point Break-ish spoof comedy.
Oh, damn.
We're going to have 90 minutes of Kunu getting, beat up by the locals, smoking weed with tourists and catching big waves. He gets caught up in an evil real estate agent's plan to turn the Turtle Bay Resort into a shopping mall. And through a lot of chill, a lot of nonsensical sayings, and, good vibes, he's able to thwart the sinister bad guy's plans. And so I just want my 90-minute Kunu movie.
That's one of your... That's a movie that you need to make.
It speaks to how fucking strong all the players are in this movie that we barely talked about Kunu at all.
Yeah. Which is one of the... I think I've said this previously on the pod, but like I've pulled this one out occasionally when I've been like a trainer that I've worked out with who like is constantly telling me to do things differently, and I'm like, I'm doing exactly what you're saying. Do less. No, do more. You're doing too much. Do more. I'm like, you're just like Kuno, right? It's just a classic. It's a classic bit.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in real quick. My alternate ending is not really an alternate ending as much as I want Get Him to the Greek to be a different movie. Get Him to the Greek sucked. I think that Matthew the waiter as Jonah Hill, they took Jonah Hill, put him into this other movie, and then got rid of the amazing character of Matthew the waiter.
Yeah, that seems like a bad move.
It's so dumb. So I'm thinking we just have a movie about Matthew the waiter working at the resort, selling weed from the resort. He's just freaking, maybe he does some open mic stuff. We get to hear some of his jams. I mean...
Well, why not give him why not have him he gets fired because of all his weird antics with
for selling weed.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, and so they both show up at the airport and then somehow get stranded there together.
Oh, that's
and so
good.
they've got
Him and Brand?
Yeah.
I love that.
So instead of they're still together and they still have to get somewhere, but it's like they accidentally are there together and they're still very annoyed by each other.
And
He
then
kind of becomes his like assistant or his roadie or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's perfect.
So that's the movie, right?
Exactly. And he's just almost like Champ from Anchorman, like slightly in love with him too at the same time, the whole time.
Which is sort of and that that is a bit of a confusing part, right? He comes off as though he's like romantically attracted to him, but then there's times when you're like, wait, he's just a total fanboy, and there's that line is blurred, and
the awkward touching is
that's one of the fun parts of the characters. You're just like, I don't know what's going on here. I have no idea what
he's trying to.
What is your relationship?
He's like, you're gonna have to walk away now, or whatever he said.
Share your gift.
I just think that was a big swing and a miss by the people that produced and directed that movie.
Yeah, that seems like a really bad one.
Oh my gosh, guys! Thank you so much for indulging my Forgetting Sarah Marshall's fetish.
This is a great one.
I love
it. So is this your favorite comedy? It's not your favorite movie.
Oh, not even close to my favorite movie. And I'm not a big comedy guy. I do like certain movies a lot, and I will rewatch them a lot. And this was one that I didn't even rewatch in the past week because I've seen so many times that it's a go-to.
I bought this one because you were raving about it one time.
Really?
Months ago. Yeah, this is like maybe a couple years ago. I was like, I gotta buy it.
I also own it.
And I had seen it a few times, but I was like, yeah, he's right. This is that good, and I'm gonna buy it and watch it.
Well, there's a lot of uneven comedies out there, and this is one that just consistently keeps up its pace for pretty much the entire movie. Like, it doesn't have that spot where you're just like, okay, now it's kind of like falling off.
And for all the comedy elements, none of them miss, right? Like you could imagine that with the Kunu and the newlyweds and the different element, the silly,
all the bit players,
and all the silly clips from the TV show, like something's going to miss, and just nothing misses.
Bringing Jason Bateman in late for the nice little like pinch hit at the very end of the movie is pretty nice too.
Yeah,
love me some Jason Bateman. All right, boys. Hey, everybody, get on those social medias. Let's give us a little bit of a follow on Apple iTunes podcasts. I want to see everybody leaving us a review again.
Subscribe.
At least read through the reviews, because there's actually some pretty funny.
There's some funny reviews. And hey, if you guys leave us a funny review, even better. Wait, Brad, when does this come out?
This spot will be out on the week of the 22nd of November.
Okay, so the week of the 22nd. So I'll give you guys until December 10th. We're going to look at every one that has gone in between today, the 22nd, to December 10th. We're going to randomly pick one. We'll reach out, and then we're going to send you guys a pack of stickers, and you guys can vandalize wherever you're at, your school, nursing home, place of work, whatever it is. Thanks for coming out, guys. Bye-bye.
I can brag your favorite podcast. The start